Farmers markets are a great provisioning option for cruisers. Produce is often fresher and less bruised. If it hasn't been refrigerated, it'll keep even longer on your boat. Hi there, I'm Carolyn Sherlock, and on this episode of the Boat Galley Podcast, I'll tell you why I love farmers markets and share some tips for finding them in your cruising grounds. Now, today's episode of the Boat Galley Podcast is sponsored by Mantis Marine, makers of the Mantis Anchor, now available in models with and without a roll bar. Proven to set reliably in the most challenging bottom, the Mantis Anchor digs in like no other, making anchoring safer and boating more enjoyable. Mantis Marine brings to market practical, durable, and affordable marine products, including, of course, their anchoring gear, some scuba diving accessories, their wonderful rechargeable waterproof headlamp, and their new solar charging navigation light. They now have a dinghy, too. Visit mantismarine.com and see for yourself. Okay, we are heading into peak harvest season in an awful lot of places in the U.S. And if you're cruising right now, that means something wonderful. Farmers markets. If you don't already make farmers markets part of your provisioning routine, I'm going to show you why they're a cruiser's best friend. You find them in the places you're visiting. I've loved farmers markets since I was a kid. Grew up around them, and when we started cruising, quickly realized how valuable they can be aboard. What makes them so great? Well, first, you're usually getting produce that hasn't been sitting in cold storage or trucked across the country. Now, it might not have been picked that morning, but it's typically a lot fresher than what you'll find in the grocery store. And that makes a difference in how long it lasts. Even better, a lot of what you'll find hasn't been refrigerated, which is a key if you're storing produce out of the fridge aboard. Less bruising, longer shelf life, better flavor, especially with fine ripened fruits and veggies. Plus, you may also find things like fresh eggs with golden yolks, homemade baked goods, cheeses, or meats with fewer preservatives, and maybe even honey, salsa, jams, other local treats. Just remember, things without preservatives won't keep forever. If you don't have a freezer, buy what you can reasonably use in a few days. Oh, wow, the flavor for those. One of the best parts of the market? You can ask questions of the vendors. How do you cook this veggie that you've never seen before? What's the difference between these two varieties of tomatoes? Turned out one was best for sandwiches and one was good for sauce. You'll usually be talking to somebody who knows this stuff and is happy to share. Even if they're not the grower, they're often just one step removed and a lot closer to the source than the typical grocery store. Plus, if they're selling this stuff, it's probably because they really love it. Now, how do you find these markets when you're cruising? Good news is they pop up in lots of places. In the Bahamas, we found them in the Abacos, the Exumas, and on Eleuthera. In Mexico, they were everywhere. Cities, towns, tiny villages, fishing villages, anything. We ran into hydroponic growers on the Baja Peninsula and plenty of fresh egg sellers. In El Salvador, many vendors lined the road to San Salvador, and little tiendas near the anchorage carried fresh veggies from nearby farms. It could go on and on. Zanzibar, Hawaii, Turkey, the Caribbean. So many great memories of buying local, fresh food along the way. So how do you find them? Ask around. Ask the locals. Ask other cruisers. Ask on Facebook or even in WhatsApp groups. The only place not to ask? The grocery store. They're not exactly going to steer you to the competition. Don't assume that just because someone tells you that there isn't a market, there really isn't. Do a little investigating. Sometimes it's a big weekly event. Other times it's just someone selling produce from the front porch. Either way, it's a fun part of cruising. If you're on the ICW, you're in luck. There are farmers markets near a lot of marinas and anchorages. One standout is the West Palm Beach Green Market. Just a few blocks from the city market, free dinghy parking or short-term tie-ups available. It has over 125 vendors and is absolutely worth a visit. Just note, it only runs from October through April. It doesn't really matter because that's the cruising season here. But, if you come through here in summer, sorry, no, it's not going to be there. Now, in the US, many farm stands and markets now accept credit cards. Outside the US, expect to pay in cash. Always bring a bag, a backpack, even a folding cart, because you need a way to carry it back to your boat. And before I wrap up, I want to point you to a great resource. Pamela Douglas, who created our Cruising with a Dog course and a lot of our other material, is a big farmers market fan too. She put together a list of her favorite markets along the ICW, and we've linked to that list in the show notes. Now, if you've had a favorite market, I'd love to hear about it so that I can pass it on to other people. Hey, that's it for this week, and thank you for listening. Did we spark your joy for cruising? Please subscribe. Don't miss out on an episode. And please also tell your friends, and if you feel like sharing with them on social media or whatever, I'd love that too. Thanks.